this webinar. So today we are going to talk about some of the concept related to the AWS, and we are also going to talk about how you can use the AWS on your day-to-day usage when you are going to deploy any solution in cloud, how you can eventually use it. So eventually we're going to talk about what is the basics of the cloud and so on. That's what we are going to discuss it, right? With respect to the before we go and start, my name is Ahmed. Almost now are 20 years in the industry, and mainly to manage your on-premises and cloud-based solution. So basically I manage on-premises or cloud-based solution one. And with respect to the solution, we help the business or customer how to migrate their solution from on-premises to the cloud. That can be AWS, or how to do the greenfield projects on the cloud and so on. That's what eventually we do with respect to the solution one. We also talk about your we do how to do with respect to the Google Cloud or Azure or any other platform, whatever we have, we can eventually go into it. Now, with respect to the Cognitia, which is we are providing the training, one of the tier 1 companies with respect to the training and it into the platform of all the service providers, which include AWS, Azure, and GCP, and you can eventually go for training for application or your administration or your solutioning. You eventually go for any of the training requirement can be fulfilled by the Cognition. You can eventually use it. So there's a quick brief. Now let's quickly talk about it. Now the first thing we're going to talk about cloud computing. Now with respect to the cloud computing, what is the cloud computing itself? We are already talking about, we are moving to the cloud. We are discussing that everyone is moving to the cloud from on-premises. Everyone is learning it. But what the cloud computing itself, where is the use case, what is the purpose, where we should use it, that what is overall aspect of the cloud computing that we need to talk about it. So in simple word, the cloud computing means how you can access your services which is hosted into the cloud. Now cloud means hosted in someone else's data center. Cloud computing talks about that your services are hosted in someone else's data center. Someone else means which is not owned by me. Someone else means which is used by which is provided by someone else. So as an organization, I want to access my data. That data is stored into someone else's location, someone else's data center. So with respect to the cloud computing basically talks about that how you can access the data which is running on someone else's data center. In other words, you are not the owner of the data center. You are not the owner of the data center. Rather, you are using your services from someone else's data center. So that is the basic of the cloud computing. Neither you are buying a hardware, neither you are buying any software. You go and access your services which is hosted in someone else's data center, and that too on demand. On demand means whenever you need it. If you need that your services should be needed for 1 hour or few hours or few days, that what you can use with respect to the cloud computing one. So cloud computing means you can access your any services from anywhere, from the data center which is not owned and managed by you, but used by you, and you can use it for any purpose. You can host your web server, app server, database. You can use for storing your binary data, which can be like audio, video, images. You can use to store your or access your application or tools, whatever comes in your mind. Maximum its support, and the best thing is you can only pay whatever you consume. If you are consuming means whatever is your usage. If you're using a server for 5 hours, just pay for 5 hours. If you're using a server for 1 day, pay for 1 day or 1 week or 1 month, whatever. Is like a utility service. Cloud computing you can consider as a utility service. Utility service means pay as you go model. Exactly the way you are paying for your electricity and water. The way you are paying for electricity and water. With respect to the electricity and water, what you do? You pay whatever you consume on month 1. If you consume 100 units of electricity, just pay for it. Month 2, you consume 500 units of electricity, just pay for it. Month 3, you consume your 10 units of electricity, just pay for it. You are actually paying whatever you're consuming, and that's give you benefit that as a customer or as a consumer or as a user, now you have a decision that I may go and deploy my application for few hours and only pay for few hours. Of course, this is not something is available on premises. On premises, you eventually go and buy the hardware, and after you got the hardware, you can go and deploy your server or application or your operating system, which may take few weeks of time. Whereas in cloud, your cloud with respect to the cloud one, you can do the same thing in few hours, probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour. Your server is ready for the deployment, and eventually you can use it for you can go and deploy your resources and manage it. So cloud computing, you can access your services from anywhere. You can pay only what you consume, and you can only and you can provision whatever the resources you want. You can provision whatever the resources you want, and then you can eventually use it. So with respect to the cloud computing, that's what we talk about, and we can eventually use it. So cloud computing talks about that how you can use the services for your resources and for your management one. Now, what is the benefit? You have a multiple benefit which you can eventually use it. Hey, everyone, are you able to see my screen? Let me just disconnect and connect it again. Is it visible now? Is it visible? Just let me check someone's, allow me a minute. Is it visible? Can someone put on the chat that this is visible or not? Okay, so meanwhile we continue. So with respect to the benefit, that's what we're talking about. You can eventually, from the benefit point of view, you can eventually go pay-as-you-go model. Pay-as-you-go model means whatever you consume, you can just pay for it. You can increase your speed and agility. Eventually, you can deploy your resources in few minutes, probably 10 and 15 minutes. You can ready and deploy your server, and then you can eventually use. I don't know why. Actually, wait for a minute. Some issue at my end. Okay, if I'm changing my screen, are you able to see my screen is changing? Just confirm, team. If I'm changing screen, is it confirm? Okay, so that's what we talk about so far. We talk about your cloud computing. You can provision your resources. You can access your resources. You can pay as you go model, and you can access it from anywhere. That's what is the eventually purpose of the cloud, and you can eventually use it. So with respect to the cloud computing, you can provision your resources, you can pay whatever you consume or access or you can deploy your resources with respect to the your requirement, and then you can use it. You can deploy your resources in a few minutes to few hours, quick one, and deploy with respect to the resources. You can use it. Now, if I need to deploy my web server, you deploy the web server, then it may take a few minutes, probably to deploy, probably 5 minutes. In a 5 minutes, I can deploy my resource, and you can eventually use it to pay whatever you consume one. Now, one of the important thing is when you're accessing the cloud, you can access it from anywhere. You can eventually access it from anywhere. The reason that you can, by default, all the cloud services are accessed over the internet. You can access over the internet, and then you can use it. So cloud computing, it's give you the cheap option because they want to cater for the large number of the users or customers, so that they can pay, they can offer the services which is quite cheaper one. So everyone can consume it, everyone can use it. Now, with respect to the services, you can eventually use it and pay. So you can go, you can access it from anywhere, pay whatever you consume. You can increase your speed and agility and deploy your resources probably in few minutes or few hours. Now, with respect to the economics of scale, economic scale means the cloud services are quite cheaper. Consider that if you want to buy any license which is quite costly on premises, and if you're using the same, you want to use the same in a cloud, then it's quite if you want to use same on the cloud, then cloud companies offering this services quite cheaper so that everyone can afford, because there are two ways of selling the product. One, you can sell the product to the few people, and they can eventually to the few people with higher cost, or you can sell to the large number of the customer with a lower cost. Ultimately, on the end of the day, you are looking for your ROI. So with respect to your economics of a scale, it eventually help you by reducing your cost and manage your resources within your budget, and you can deploy your application in your cloud, and you can access from anywhere one. It also helps you manage your CapEx versus OpEx. You don't have to buy a resource. You don't have to buy the server license. You are actually using as a rented one, which is your operational expenses, which is your expenses with respect to the one. That's what you can eventually use it. Okay. So with respect to the resource, you can eventually do that, right? Is any issue? I'm not audible, or I'm audible? So you can use it, and with respect to the resource, you can eventually manage, and you can pay whatever you can use it. So with respect to your resources, you can eventually manage it. You can pay whatever you consume, and you can eventually use it. So from the Azure point of view or AWS point of view, any services which you are using, you can only pay whatever you consume. You don't need to pay anything which is not needed one. So with respect to your CapEx versus OpEx, we are talking about that you can only pay whatever you consume, and you can pay for it. Now, when you're paying, you need to only pay as a rental services. You're paying as a rental services. And with respect to the rental services, you are just paying for the usage one. So if you're using our resources for 1 hour, 1 day, and so on, you can eventually using it. and you are paying for your services once. So from the AWS point of view, you can only pay whatever you consume. You are eventually not buying something. So this what is the major difference between capex versus opex one. From the capex versus opex, you are actually using from your instead of buying something you don't need a budgeted requirement, you just go and start using any services and you can pay whatever you consume on the month-to-month basis. In month one, if you need a 10 servers, pay for it. Month two, pay for it. Month three, whatever you consume, you eventually pay for it from the Azure point of view, and then you can eventually use it. So with respect to the your capex versus opex, you can only paying for your rental charges or whatever you're consuming on the monthly basis, you are actually paying for it. So consumption based model means you're eventually paying what you're consuming, that too as a rental. So when you go to the cloud, you are not owning it. If you're not owning it, then you can pay whatever you consume, correct? So you can eventually use it, right? So the cloud types, public cloud, your and your with respect to the public cloud is the one which you are accessing it from, which is used by anyone. So there's three types of the cloud one. So public cloud, there's three types of the cloud which you can use it. One is public cloud, private cloud, and your hybrid cloud. Public cloud is the type of the cloud which can be accessed by anyone. Accessed by anyone means anyone can go and access it. Anyone can go and access it. So with respect to the public cloud is used for the general public, no limitation. Anyone want to go and use it. Like I want to use it, you want to use it. Anyone who want you, they can simply go and use it. And with respect to the public cloud, you can only pay what you consume. But remember, you are paying as a rent. You are not the owner of the cloud. So with respect to the public cloud is eventually used by anyone, is like AWS, Azure, GCP, all are public cloud. And there's no limitation that who want to use it. If I want to use, I can go create my account and I can use it. And I can access over the internet. I can access with a secured connection. I can access it with my direct link or lease line. I can do anything. One of the good option, if you don't have a much, if you don't want to own your own hardware, then you can go and use the public cloud one. Then we have a private cloud which is owned and managed by yourself. Yourself means as an organization. As an organization, I don't want that my cloud will be used by anyone except my own users, employees, associate, partners. So if I don't want that my cloud will be used by anyone except my users, associate, partner, then we can go to the private cloud. The private cloud is the one where you're buying everything. You are the owner of it. And when you are the owner of it, eventually you are buying the hardware, software, and which is more costly in comparison to the public cloud, because public cloud you're using as the rent. Here you are a owner. It's like a Ola, Uber, and your own car. So if your own car, you are paying for it. For Ola, Uber, and Uber, you are just paying for their rental one. So private cloud, you're paying for your rental charges, and you can allow who can access your service or who cannot. So we have a public cloud and private cloud. Public cloud you can use, but public cloud is a shared environment where anyone can using it. You, me, anyone can using it. AWS, Azure, GCP, all are public cloud, which is used by anyone. If you don't want, you want your own cloud and you want to manage your own cloud, you want to allow who can access or who cannot. You want that only the specific user and employees or associate can access it. You want to control it. Use your own private cloud one. To private cloud, you need to buy some additional software like Azure Stack or OpenStack and so on. And you can use this software to build your own cloud. In simple word, private cloud means you have a complete control because it is your hardware, your software, you are managing it. Now, with respect to your hybrid cloud, usually we go to the hybrid cloud when you want to map these two. In other words, when I want that I want to combine my public and private cloud both. I want some of the service are running in public cloud and some of the service I want to available into the private cloud. So assume I want that my web server should be running from the public cloud, but my data base is running on a private cloud. Means some service from the public, some of private one, and I want to use it. Or if I want my data center should be in public private cloud, but DR can be in private cloud or public cloud, mix of it. So I want that my data center is in private cloud, but if my data center goes down, I don't want to build another data center. I can use a public cloud. So my primary data center goes down. I can access from the secondary one. So eventually you're using a combination of both the cloud. Some of the service are running on premises, some of service running on your cloud like a AWS one. So you can also go for public, private or hybrid cloud one. Now, with respect to the cloud, you also have there's a deployment model. And with respect to the deployment model, there's a three concept known as IaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And with respect to your infrastructure as a service, where you are responsible for everything starting your operating system and above. It means when you go to the cloud like AWS and you want to use some of the service which is starting from OS and above, we go for infrastructure as a service. AWS offering some of the services which you can use to manage everything starting from OS and above, but not below the OS, means hardware you cannot manage. So with respect to your IaaS is your infrastructure service. Hey guys, I'll take all the question in the last 15 minutes. So on the last 15 minutes, we just kept only for the QA one. So just or 15-20 minutes. So just be there. Now with respect to the infrastructure service means you can do when you go to the AWS and you ask, hey, I want a service which is IaaS. It means that service allow you to manage everything starting from the OS and above. Nothing below the OS. You are responsible for OS, application deployment, database, everything you're responsible. But if hardware fails, service provider takes, like AWS will take care. But if OS fails, you take care. Monitoring, you take care. Backup, you take care. You need to do everything. With respect to the PaaS is a one step above than your IaaS, infrastructure as a service. And with respect to the PaaS basically help you that you want that service provider can manage everything except your code. It means if I go to the AWS and I want some services where I just want to develop my code and deploy the code, I can ask them, hey, can you share me some of the service which I can use under the PaaS? Yes. Let's take an example like a database server. If I ask a database server, then AWS will create the data server. AWS will manage it. AWS will take the backup, availability, scalability, everything is taken care by the AWS. They just give you the database server where you can integrate with your application and start using it. That's all. So you may have an IaaS and then you may have a PaaS. PaaS is include. It means in a PaaS, if you compare the IaaS versus PaaS, in IaaS, you are doing everything starting from OS and above. OS installation, runtime configuration, and your application development deployment. If OS fails, you take care of it. In PaaS, you are just looking from the application point of view. If application fails, you take care of it. But other than application, everything is taken care by the service provider. You have peace of mind, your convenience, ease of it. So if you go to the cloud, you can say that some of the services I want to use under the IaaS and some of the services I want to use into the PaaS. And with respect to the PaaS, you're managing you're only managing the code development deployment. If code fails, you take care of it. Then we have a SaaS, software as a service. You're not managing anything. You just become a normal users. Like you're using a Gmail. What you do in the Gmail? You just go and create the Gmail. If Gmail server fails, it is taken care by the Google. If some technical issue, taken care by the Google. Your job is to just use it and you can pay your charges on per month basis or yearly, whatever. So with respect to the SaaS basically use when you don't want to manage anything, even the software development deployment will be taken care of the service provider. So SaaS basically hardware, operating system, application, database, everything is taken care by the service provider. So that is a SaaS service. So if you go to the cloud and you want some services which is under the SaaS one, the SaaS services are basically the services which is where you are not playing any role. I want an artificial intelligence service. I want a machine learning service. I want a big data services. I want analytics services. So what we're trying to say here, when you go to the cloud offer the services under the IaaS, PaaS and SaaS category. IaaS, you are creating a resource and you are only managing everything starting from OS and above, like a virtual machine where you are deploying your operating system, installing application, connecting, you're doing everything. PaaS, you are only going and deploying the code. You're asking AWS, hey, AWS, can you create a one machine with a 2 processor, 4 GB RAM? And can you go and install the Ubuntu operating system? Can you install the Python runtime environment? Or can you create one MySQL server or create an Oracle server? They will create everything. And your job is to just go and integrate with your application. That's all. Backup, they will take care. Everything they do, monitoring, they configured. In a SaaS, you're using like Office 365 or Gmail, where you're become a consumer, just using the services from your usage purpose, nothing from the configuration management purpose. Everything is taken care by the service provider. So you can go to the cloud and you can use these services. Now, another aspect is when you go to the cloud, you also have a regions. Now, AWS have their presence across the globe. Have their presence means they have their data center across the globe. AWS have their data center across the globe. The data center where you go and create your virtual machine, storage, network to cater the need of the whole world, to cater the need of every customer, to cater the need of everyone. They have their presence across the globe. And when they have their presence across the globe, then everyone can access or everyone can deploy their virtual machine, storage, network, database to the data center which is near to their business. So I can go and deploy my virtual machine, network, storage, database, my application, which is near to my business so that I can access with faster speed or with a low latency, with a high performance. So AWS have their presence across the globe, almost 24 plus regions. They have their presence. Region you can consider as a city. So they have their presence across the globe, and they have almost in 24 plus cities where they have data center. It means you can look the data center which is near to your business one, near to your business location. Now, in every now what is the basis of selecting the data, your region? If you have a 24 plus region, then what basis you can select your region? You can select the region based on the multiple aspect. You can select the region based on the latency. Latency means which give you the low latency and high performance, which takes less time to travel. Latency which takes less time to travel. So with respect to your resource, you can use it. You can select the region which is give you low latency and high performance. So I can assume I'm based off Delhi and I want to deploy my machine. I will try to deploy the machine which is to the data center which is near to my Delhi location. Maybe Delhi, maybe Mumbai, maybe whatever. Or like in wherever you are, you should look the region which is near to your business location so that you can deploy your resources which give you low latency. You might also select the region whether based on your compliance need. Probably you're working for a project and that project says that your data should not go beyond a country boundary. Okay, fine. If data should not go beyond the country boundary, then what we can do? We can select the region which is in my own country one. So I probably select the region primary and secondary for primary data center and secondary data center, which is in the same my same country boundary. Like in India, if I want that my for one of government organization says that you should ensure that your data should not go beyond a country boundary, then I want to deploy my machine which is in the or application which is into the same country boundary, probably primary and secondary in the same region, same country one, but not beyond it. Like I probably put one in Mumbai and one in Hyderabad or one in Delhi or one in Mumbai, whatever. So you can select the region based on the data compliance point of view. There's also possibility that if you're looking for some of the service, that service might not be available in all the region. Means if I want to deploy a service, that might not be available in all the region at the time. Usually when AWS launch any service, they launch the service from the few region and they say over the period of the time, this service may be available in all the regions. So AWS, let's say, announce a service for artificial intelligence. Okay, fine. Now, artificial intelligence initially is only available in probably 2 regions, but over the period of the time, it might be available in 10 region or all the region. So in case you are looking for a service, you may select the region which give you where the service is available. Might be not at the location which is near to you. So you can also select the region accordingly. You can also select the region based on the pricing. There's a possibility that your pricing may vary from a region to region, considering the specific country, specific laws. So when you're selecting the region, select the region which give you the low latency so that your user can get the best performance for your application. Select the region and deploy your virtual machine storage database, which give you the lower cost, because region to region, your cost can vary and based on the service availability or based on the data compliance. So you have a multiple aspect, and based on that, you can select the region. To provide the high availability, every region, they provide you zones. Zone, which we call availability zone. Availability zone. Availability zone, you can consider that I have a 2 building into the same region. Probably one in south, one in north. And that building, I have multiple data centers. So building 1, I have a multiple data center. Building 2, I have multiple data center. Building 1, when I deploy my application, I can deploy into that building. Probably ground floor, first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, we have a data centers. And when I'm deploying my web server, app server, DB server, it will be deployed into the specific building and one of the data centers. So the building we also call a facility, or we call a zone, or we call availability zone. It means for high availability, AWS give you 2 zones per region minimum. Maximum can be 6. Maximum can be 6. So with respect to the region, every region have a 2 availability zone minimum, and that can go up to 6. US North Virginia, they have a 6 zone. Now, what is the benefit? What is the usage? The usage is if my user are assumed in Delhi and I want to deploy my web server, probably which is in Mumbai, then I have option to deploy one web server from the zone 1, one server from the zone 2. Is like I getting a primary data center and secondary data center in the same region, so that when primary goes down, I can access my application from the secondary region, secondary zone in the same region. Region is same. If my region goes down, then I can access from secondary region. Now you see that cloud provider provide you the high availability where you can go and deploy your server across the 2 different zone or 2 different region or multi-region and get the high availability. One data center goes down, you can access from secondary one, or one zone goes down, you can access from secondary one region goes down, you can access from secondary one. So you have a zones. Every region they have at least two, but now AWS is working and they're going to provide you 3 availability zone in per region. My downtime, my high availability will be further increased. Now with respect to your region or availability zone, there's a fundamental infrastructure which is provided by you as part of the service. You do not pay for anything. If you're deploying a 2 server in 2 different zones, you don't pay extra than 2 servers only. You're just paying for 2 servers. If you deploy the 2 web server running for 2 different zones, which is fine, you can just pay for server, not the additional cost for deploying across the zone or across the region. Only the resource which you are using. Like if I have 2 machine running, I need to pay for 2 machine. If I'm running a 5 machine, I can pay for 5 machine. If I have 10 machine, 10 one, I can pay for 10 machines, and so on. So we have AWS provide you the services where user can go and deploy your application, and their basic services are region and zone from the infrastructure point of view, where a user can host their services, which include your web server, app server, DB server, or whatever, and that too across the zone or across the region for high availability. Now AWS provide you the multiple services, multiple products, multiple features. If we combine all the services versus feature, almost 5,000 plus features and services they are offering. One service may have multiple features. Some of it, the foundational services or main service which you use is your compute. Virtual machine. Virtual machine we also call EC2. In AWS, I can go and create a machine in 5 minutes. It means my machine get ready in 5 minutes and I can go and deploy my any application in 5 minutes. And I can create a machine of the size of 2 processor, 4 processor, 8 GB RAM, 20 GB RAM. I can create the disk which can be 1 GB, 1 TB, 10 GB, 100 GB, and so on. And if I use this machine, I can pay for it. If I don't use this machine, I don't pay for it. So we have a compute. We also have a networking services. Networking means AWS provide you the multiple types of the networking services. The networking services include like your virtual network, load balancer, DNS server, connectivity with on-premises, VPN, direct link, and so on. But it provide you the networking services which you can use to deploy your server in your own network. You can also connect your virtual network, which is known as VPC, to on-premises so that user can on-premises can access my servers, which is running in cloud. I can also go and create a load balancer, which is used for distributing your traffic for multiple services. You can also use the storage. Storage is mainly used for storing your any data. Storage means I can go and create my disk. Storage means I can create my file share. Storage means I can create a storage where I can store unlimited data like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive. So you may have a storage also. A part of it, AWS also provides services which include your database services. Database service provide a relational database service or non-relational database service. In AWS, if I want to create a relational one, relational means which include your MS SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, or your Oracle. NoSQL means which is like your DynamoDB. The way you are using a DynamoDB on premises, we use Cosmos DB or MongoDB, whatever. And also we can cache the data. When your data will be cached, one of the benefit is you can access from anywhere. If you cache the data near to the user location, so for the application, it gives you the better performance because now user data will be accessed from the nearest location. If my server is in Mumbai, I pick up some data from the Mumbai server and kept to the users near to the user location. So I kept some data in Delhi. So all the user who's near to the Delhi, they can access their data from this cache location. So I can cache my data. I can also use my services like monitoring and logs. I can go and monitor my virtual machine, network, my logs, my application logs. I can do multiple things. AWS support that. You can monitor your on-premises resources. Just need to install your monitoring agent, or you can also use to monitor your AWS resources, which is part of it. You can also create a service under the verticals, different types of the service like mobile service, management service, app services, analytics services, database. There are a host of the services available and everyone can fulfill their need by using these services. You can create a container. You can create a Kubernetes server or cluster. You can create a DNS services. They're two under the PaaS management. Everything's taken care of the service provider, not by you. So from the service point of view, they provide you the multiple services. They also provide some additional services like Lambda, very famous service, basically used for compute resources. Means you can execute your code and only pay for the code duration, not based on the size of the machine. If I go to the EC2 and I create the EC2 machine will give me the respective processor and memory, like 2 processor, 4 GB RAM, and I need to pay for according to the processor, memory, and storage size. But if I go to my Lambda, I can only pay for the consumption. If my code is running for 2 minutes, I'll just pay for 2 minutes. If code runs for 1 minute, I can pay for 1 minute. So you can eventually use it. You can also use identity services, which include your, like where you can go and create your user IDs. So I have an organization where I want to create IDs for all the Windows admin or Linux admin or network admin. I can do that. So eventually AWS provide you the hundreds of the services under the various categories, which include your networking services, compute services, storage services, analytics services. So you can eventually use it for the multiple purpose. So AWS provide you all the set of the services which you can eventually use it. Now remember, with respect to the AWS, in AWS, the security is a shared responsibility. When you go to the AWS, you cannot say that AWS is responsible for everything. No, you are responsible for your own area. AWS is responsible for their area. It means if you create a machine and you are given access to everyone and your machine get hacked, you are responsible. If you store the data and you have not put any control mechanism, if that is a hack, you are responsible. So with respect to your resources, is a mixed responsibility. You are responsible for something. AWS is responsible for something. Now, if someone enter into the AWS data center and hack your data center and then steal your data, of course, then AWS is responsible. So remember, your security is a shared responsibility. And we talk about the shared responsibility. Everyone can use their own areas and manage it. So with respect to the customer is responsible for configuring your firewall, who can access, who cannot, encrypt the data, who can access, who cannot, encrypt your data at rest and data in transit. You can eventually do that and you can eventually use it. And from the customer is responsible for managing their infrastructure. How do they ensure that their infrastructure is secure and use it? So that's what we talk about with one. And now let's see how my AWS looks like. So let me log in. Allow me a minute. I'm just accessing. Give me a minute. Okay. So this is my AWS console, and you can eventually go and create any resource. So if I want, I can see all the services are here, like compute services, my analytics services, my container, my machine learning, my robotics, my satellite, my security, every service is there. But let me tell you or share you how you can create a simple machine. If you compare with the on-premises, then you can see that my machine will be ready in a few minutes and then I can log in. So you go to the EC2, where you can create all the virtual machine. You launch your instance. You give the name of the instance like my web server. You can see how easy of you can creating a machine. You can select the type of the operating system. You want a operating system can be Linux or Mac or Ubuntu or Windows or Red Hat. You can select whatever you want. Let's say I want a Windows. Now when you select the Windows, you can also see whether you want 2022, 2019, 16, what version. I need 2019, but eventually I have all the options. I can also select my size of the VM. I want to deploy this image on what type of the machine. 1 processor, 1 GB RAM, 2 processor, 2 GB RAM. EC2 give you the respective number of the processor and memory which you can use and deploy. So with respect to your machine, let's say I use T2 micro, which give me 1 processor, 1 GB RAM, and then I want a key pair. Key pair is a cryptographic keys which you can use to connect. So you can use it. So I use a cryptographic keys and then I can eventually go and log in. Then you should open the respective port. If you want to deploy your web server, you can define your HTTP or HTTPS traffic, whatever. What is size of the disk you want? You need a disk of your whatever size you can eventually use it. I can also add a new volume. So it's up to you how you can use it. And then finally you can launch your instance. If you want, you can also use a Linux or Ubuntu or any types of the instance. So with respect to the Linux or whatever, you can select the version and then you can select it and create it. And you want your HTTP traffic and then finally you launch your instance. Now have you seen that I just need to select my configuration and after the configuration my machine get launched. If you compare with on-premises, then you know that what is the total time it took on-premises versus cloud one. And I can deploy this machine in anywhere. I just deploy into the North Virginia. I can deploy in OU, California, California, Mumbai, Osaka, Seoul, Singapore, any region, whatever, wherever you want. It takes a 2-3 minutes to deploy my machine. And when machine get ready, I can access it. Now see, machine is ready, it's running, but it takes few minutes before I can connect. So I can just go to the connect. And if I try to connect, probably it takes a few minutes to connect. Now my machine is connected. Now you see that machine is connected. In 2 minutes, I created a machine. My machine get created and I'm ready to deploy any application. I'm ready to deploy any application. So with respect to your machine, you can eventually do it and deploy your resources and manage it. That's one of the benefit you eventually get with respect to the machine one and then create it. Now, if you compare, you know very well that what is the difference here and how you can eventually use it for the application one for the deployment one. Quick one, very quick, few minutes. So when you go to the cloud, you can eventually deploy your machine in a few minute one and then you can eventually use it. Now, when machine is connected, I can simply go and I can install any application. So I'm installing, and when I install it, then I can deploy any application there. I can install any application. Somehow I'm not deploying my code, but if I deploy any code, I can access it. I just need to use my web server and I need to copy my public IP and I can start using it. It's not there, which is fine. So you can also it to the way you are using it. You can eventually use it and manage it. Now you see that my default page is showing. In a minute, I can deploy any application and access it from anywhere. That's the beauty. So you can eventually use your AWS and create a machine. Now, if I create a machine, I can now go and terminate the machine. Also, if I don't need it, I can go and terminate the machine. If I terminate the machine, so whatever the running period, probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I can only pay for that 5 minutes only. I can only pay for 5 minutes. So you can only pay for your consumption time. That's I told you about earlier that you can pay. If you know 10 machines, you create a 10 machine. Now, if you want to create a network, you want to create your own network, probably 2 minutes. I can go to my VPC. I can define my IPs. I can define my IP range. I want that my network should cater the multiple zones. I can go and create a VPC. My VPC, which is a virtual network, gets created. And then I can use it. Simple, quick, simple. If I want to create my database, I can go to the database and create a database. Database creation takes more time, probably 15-20 minutes, but yes, I can create a database which can be available in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And I can create any database. I can create a database which may be Oracle, PostgreSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, MS SQL, anyone, or AWS own product, which is Aurora. I can go and select the respective option, my database name, my username, my instance size of the database server, my size of the storage, and I can just connect. And I won't take a backup on daily basis. Once in a day, what time, monthly, everything is taken care by them. So you can eventually use your database for your application deployment one. So eventually you can deploy. If you're deploying a machine, you can also select the respective zone. If I want to deploy one machine, I can say my machine should go and deploy into the zone 1 or machine go to deploy to zone 2. Like North Virginia, they give you 6 zones. And you can select the 6 zones. Zone 1B, 1A, 1B, 1F, 1E, 1C, 1D, whatever. But eventually you can deploy across the multiple zones and use it. And this is what we talk about with respect to the AWS and how you can use the AWS for your day-to-day operation one. Now, with respect to the question, please go ahead and share your questions. I'm happy to answer it now. And please also complete the survey form. Chat is still not opening for me. Wait for a minute. Don't know why. Chat, why it is not. Guys, just give me a minute. I'm seeing that chat is taking too much time to open. But let me try. Oops. So just give me a minute. Let me disconnect and connect so that I can see the chat. Ultimately, I'm not able to see it. Allow me a minute. Guys, just give me a minute. Some issue. Put your question in chat. I'll just try to see all the questions. I'm trying to see the chat, but somehow it's keep moving. Yes, just give me a minute. I'm not able to see the chat actually. So to answer your question, allow me a minute. Yes, some technical issue. I'm seeing the chat is just keep moving. So unable to see all the chat. So I'm just trying. Now, one of the question one of the person is asking, what is the job opportunities? Now, if you look with respect to the job opportunities, one of the simple thing you can go and look for any job portal and you see how many openings are for the cloud computing. Since the COVID, things have quite changed. Everyone want to move to the cloud. Now, if you look, assume you want to move to the cloud so that you can eventually go and deploy your server, and you can only pay for for a few hours to few days for few months. This is one of the beauty. Everyone wants to move it. Every organization want to go to the cloud, and they want to use the cloud services so that they can reduce their cost. It means they need a people who have a good understanding and a good knowledge about the cloud so that they can manage their environment. Now, if you go to any tier 1 companies, you can see the lots of opening from there with respect to the cloud one. So yes, it is the next booming market. Everyone wants to move so that they don't need to manage their on-premises data center and you can use it, right? So yes, there's opportunities. There's no second question on the opportunities one. One of the best way to look, you can just go and look for a job portal and see how many companies are asking for the requirement based on the AWS, Azure, or GCP, whatever. 3 major cloud platforms is AWS, then Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud one. Now, one of the question, different training one. Yes, trainings are always available. Foundational training, intermediate level training, or advanced level training. You can eventually go to the Cognitia site, see the upcoming trainings. You can register them. Someone can reach out to you and you can also go for the training one. Or if you want, you can also at least go to the Google, try to do the basics of it. Go to the YouTube, try to do the basic of it. And you can start learning. Learning can be from anywhere. There should be no dependency that what is need for the person who want to learn, they can go anywhere and go and learn it. You get lots of things. So just search like what is AWS services. So you can eventually use it. Nothing specific, learning your path one, and you can eventually use it. Now, with respect to the EC2 machine billing cost, the billing cost is per hour basis. Based on the region, the charges are your disk size and OS and the machine size. If a machine is 1 processor, 1 GB RAM and 10 GB of the disk, then I need to pay for that charges one. Charge may based on your type of the machine you are using, probably less than $1. And to create an account, you can eventually create account using your credit card. And once you create your credit, it will be free for 1 year. 1 year is free. Every account which you create with the credit card, but it should not be used in past, you get 1 year free. And you can create any resource with the free one. Just go and search AWS free tier account and your account gets free for 1 year. It asks for information and you can use it. So whether you're creating a virtual machine or database server or any storage, you to only pay for whatever the consumption size. Another question is from the networking side. Yes, AWS provides you the multiple services from the networking, which include your VPN service, your direct connect for lease line, your load balancer, your Route 53, which is the DNS one, your virtual network, host of multiple, which you can use it. Another question, how to get certification on AWS tool like Docker Jenkins. See, they don't have offer any certification for Docker and Jenkins, but they are offering a certification known as DevOps, AWS DevOps. You can go for AWS DevOps and you can become a DevOps administrator. And then you can use this tool and showcase to your organization or any company that you are good into the DevOps one. For beginner, one of the question, you can eventually go and start using your service, at least start from the EC2. Beginner should start the service EC2 virtual machine. That is the basic. Don't go for anything else. Just look for the storage and or EC2 instance. AWS S3 and AWS EC2 is a good enough for you to start with. And with respect to the one other question for networking on the side, AWS offer you service AWS Advanced Networking. AWS Advanced Networking certification is mainly help you to build your career from the networking side, and you can explore more on the networking side and become certified in the advanced networking, in which you can eventually use it. One of the question is the T2 micro is free. Yes, T2 micro is free for 1 year. When you're creating a machine, use a T2 micro. It is free for 1 year and you can eventually use it. Another question, scope of identity in AWS similar to Azure AD. Yes, that's known as IAM, Identity and Access Management. Identity and Access Management in AWS is equivalent to your Azure AD in Azure. So fundamental, there's no such coupon is available. You need to go and buy it. But if you want to go for AWS foundational one, you can go for Cloud Practitioner, which is a foundational one. Good for you to start with, and not necessarily a coupon required. You can go select your location, select your program, and then pay online, and you can start using it and then pay for it. DevOps certification is $300. DevOps is the $300 certification, right? Yes. One of the question that Azure providing their free certification for the foundational one, but AWS charge you. This is a company to company differ. You cannot comment why A, why B, but this is a way AWS offered their program, and they want their cloud practitioner, which cost 10,000 rupees INR, Indian one, and which is AZ9 is free, but depends. So you cannot say why one is free. Maybe a business case, one of the business reason. That's why someone is offering free, someone is offering with charges one. Right. Go ahead. Any more questions before we conclude? Any more questions before we conclude? Now, this is actually what we discussed today. It is even not an introduction. It is not even a foundational one. We just talk about the basics of the basic. Of course, in a 1.5 hour, what are all the things you can cover? We just talked about the basics. Just help you. There's something. What is the cloud? Why one should use the cloud? And what are the different services they are offering which you can use? And so this is the one. So eventually, if you want to go to the next step, my suggestion always go to the foundational training first. Or if there's a certification or training which include intermediate plus foundational, then of course you can go for it because they cover the foundational, then intermediate one. But if you already have a good understanding on premises, you already in the industry working for last 5, 6 years, 10 years, then you might directly go for intermediate also because you already know how the infrastructure work, how the services work, how the application develop, how the solutioning work. You don't need to do it from the basic one. Eventually go and start one work for it. So with respect to the DevOps certification, valid 2 years. I think they are moving to the 3 years now, but eventually not more than 2 or 3 years. So 3 years probably, but earlier was 2 years. So it not go beyond it, and then you need to reappear for the exam. AWS Solution Architect Associate cost $150. $150. The AWS Solution Architect is mainly for the people who are solution and doing a solution and architecting on premises, and they want to move to the cloud and they want to do the solutioning and architecting, not the administration. If you want to do the administration, go for AWS SysOps. If you want to do the development, go to the AWS developer. But if you want to do the AWS solutioning, where you can build the solution, design the solution, integrate the services, work with the business, then go to the AWS Solution Architect Associates level certification or professional level certification. Beginner always go for Jenkins and Docker. Just go for there's no such foundational certificate for Jenkins or Docker one. You can only go for AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is basics of it. And then you go to the next step. There's no specific certificate from Jenkins and Docker one. Okay. Hey guys, another 2 minutes and we're good to close. Before that, anyone still have a question? Then okay. Thanks, guys. If you still have a question, post it. We'll try to respond to you back. But my suggestion, spare some time, go to the go to the YouTube, go to the Google, search some additional documents, go to some videos, learn the basic and start your journey towards the cloud. Make your career in the cloud so that you can reach to the step where you can do have everything one, right? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great career ahead. Best of luck if you want to go for your learning, and best of luck for your learning one. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.